Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. This is Sena, aka Alinko. This is where we engage the community in talking about the things that matter to us. Today is the 11th of November 4th, November 4th, 2020. Today is a great day in the history of mankind, and you all know why. The United States of America is electing its president and its leaders today. It started yesterday, and we are in. Actually, started yesterday. Today is the 4th. Yesterday was the 3rd, so it was the 3rd that it started. They're still counting, as you all know, those who are following it. For those who are not, yes, the counting is still going on, and the Democrats seem to be in the lead at the moment, but everybody is all sitting on tenterhools because nobody can tell how it's going to go. But what we know is that life will go on, whether on the continent of America or the continent of Africa. Wherever it is, life will go on. But we know and we hope that at the end of the day, a leader will be chosen, because the way America goes seems to determine how the other continent or how other things run, right? So we are grateful to God for giving us the opportunity to be coming your way. Again, this is the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Sena, aka Alinko. We will take the Captain Mike segment. When we come back, the show continues. We are going to be talking about NSARS. NSARS is originally what we had planned for today, and we wanted to stick with it. However, we also want to touch on the election. So we have great men here, all Africans, and we are going to be getting our perspective out on what we think is going on so far with the U.S. election. So if you're watching us, please share the feed on Facebook and on YouTube. Invite a friend to tell a friend and a family member that the Progressive Mind is on. So let's come together and deliberate on things that concerns all of us. And so right about now, we shall take Captain Mike. Hold on tight. We shall be right back. Captain Mike, if you are ready, let's take it from here.
All right. Well, I'm sure everybody in the Chicago area noticed today was a really nice day. At Midway Airport, 75 degrees today set a new record. So now we've all seen a new record high today. That's 20 degrees higher than our normal of 55 degrees as a high this time of year. Right now it's 70 degrees, still nice. Winds are at the southwest, a little gusty, 12 miles an hour, gusting up to 20. Get out and enjoy it. So for the rest of tonight, we're looking at a low of about 55 degrees, a little bit breezy out of the southwest. Tomorrow, 70 degrees, still not breezy. 70 Friday and Saturday, still southwest winds. We're going to have about mid-60s. On Sunday, we're going the wrong way this time. 68 degrees, some south winds. And then we get into Monday, a decent day, really windy. Watch your hats. Then Tuesday, the bottom falls out. Do everything you need to do before Tuesday, because we have a cold front coming in. It's going to start out in the afternoon. It's going to get up to about 66 degrees, but then the bottom falls out. The winds are going to switch around to out of the northwest. They're going to bring with it some rain and going to drop down to about 40 degrees, and even a little bit lower than that through the overnight into Wednesday. Wednesday, a decent day. Snow's going to come back. Still going to have some northwest winds up about 10 miles an hour. High is going to be about 45 degrees. Slightly lower than our average this time of year, but we'll take it for November. So right up till Tuesday, do everything you need to do, because you're not going to see this again. Sports today, we have the Fire. They're going to be in Minnesota taking on the Minnesota Football Club, and that's about 55 minutes from right now. And health and fitness report. A lot of us, myself included, I run a little high on blood pressure, and I get high blood pressure from both sides of my family, so I really have to watch it. So we went to activebeat.com, and according to Dr. Gerald Morris, here's some ways to try to lower your blood pressure without having to use medicine. But first, always check with your doctor, and if you are on blood pressure medicine, take your blood pressure medicine until your doctor tells you not to. All right, what is high blood pressure? That's anything above 130 systolic, that's when the heart contracts, or 80 diastolic, that's when your heart relaxes. So if it's above 130 over 80, any of those numbers, you have high blood pressure. Watch it. Lifestyle changes. How do we lower our blood pressure? Number one, exercise regularly. Try to get 30 minutes a day of intense exercise in, whether it be running, biking, whatever you like to do, yoga. Figure out what you want to do and play tennis, basketball, whatever your style is, get to it. 2, eat healthy, eat a balanced diet. Try to limit your refined sugars and especially your salt. 3, big one, stop smoking. If you smoke, don't do it. Save you a lot of money too. 4, limit salt intake. We're going back to that. Lower your sodium levels. Check the labels of the food you're eating. Make sure it doesn't have a lot of sodium. Try to limit your sodium, tick it down. 5, lose any excess weight. That's good for everything. It also reduces your cholesterol levels. If you're a little bit overweight, work on that. 6, de-stress, something we all have to do. There are a lot of things that stress us out: work, family, finances. So try to find a way to de-stress. Get a massage, exercise, meditate, take Tai Chi, do some yoga, and use proper breathing techniques, something we all have to work on. I know I'm a bad breather myself, so in and out. All right, cut the caffeine. Caffeine causes the blood pressure levels to spike, just like smoking. We all are addicted to caffeine and we like it. Me too. So we got to kind of cut it out, slow it down. 4, going back in time. 8, moderate drinking. Some studies have shown that small amounts of alcohol can actually lower your blood pressure, but try to limit it. If you're a woman, try to limit it to 1 drink a day. A man, 2 drinks a day. 9, monitor your blood pressure. Get a good quality blood pressure monitor and try to get one that uses the upper arm. The farther away you get from the upper arm into your lower extremities, the worse the readings are going to be, the less accurate they're going to be. And 10, ask for help. Ask your family and your friends to monitor you and keep you on track. If you're not exercising, if you're not eating right, if you're still smoking, make sure they crack the whip and make you stop. All right, with those tips, we're going to go back to you.
My brother, thank you as always. That was the sports health fitness update from Captain Mike. My brother, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you how the airline industry is moving up so far. Can you just give us maybe in a few seconds how the industry is picking up to this point?
Well, we had an uptick on the 18th of October, 2 weeks ago. We finally hit the 1 million mark of passengers, and it's normally around 2 million around that time. So it is starting to tick up. Today, or yesterday's numbers, we don't have today's all in, were about 575,000, passengers. That's still about 25%, but now we're starting to crack into the 800,000 mark. So it is going up. It is getting better. And once again, flying is safe. We have we have recirculated air. So
but you still have to mask up. You still have to do the mask and all of that, right?
We still have to mask up, but we're still also one of the healthiest in our air is some of the purest you're going to find, even more so than your hospitals, anywhere else you're going to go.
Okay.
We circulate our air all the time.
All right. Okay. On that note, we will end the segment, take a short break. When we come back, this fine gentlemen are going to be helping us to talk about the U.S. elections and end SARS in Nigeria. Our fifth guest, the lady who's supposed to be here, BIBI, is unfortunately not here at the moment. Hopefully, she can join the feed as we go on with the discussion this evening. Please help share the feed, gentlemen. As you go on this break, you can share your feed as well. We shall be right back. Please hang tight. Well, we are back on the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Sena. You can call me Alinko. That's how everybody calls me. It's been my name since childbirth. No, that's not. I'm just joking. My mom didn't name me Alinko. Alinko was given to me sometime in my life, but Alinko is the name, and you are our great guest. Please help share the feed as we engage our community. As I said, the whole world is at a standstill because America is not moving yet. With the weights, we will see who go chop up. So before we continue, the verse of today's verse is from Proverbs chapter 11, verse 10. It says, "When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy." Take that and put it in your pocket. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest, great guys here. As I said earlier, we'll start from SHERRIF OTUN, who was on here last week talking about SARS, the foundation. We had a great discussion. So OTUN, SHERRIF OTUN has joined us again for this session. He's a research scientist at LABCORB in Wisconsin. He lives in Wisconsin. Dr. BARTH SHEPKONG is a scholar, social entrepreneur, and a strategist. He's also an independent consultant. He is in Ohio. We have a newcomer today, Dr. EMEKA EGWIM. He's a regulatory affairs and policy analyst with the FDA, Food, Drugs and Administration. And BIBI is missing in action. Hopefully we can join us during the show this evening. John OBEN EPEY is my own brother. He is one of our biggest fans, soon to be a co-host of the show. He is MPH. He's PhD epidemiology student. You know, when these words are too big, I take your time and get it out. Well, gentlemen, the elections started yesterday. The U.S. election is everybody's election. It's the whole world's election, all right? And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's any country on earth or any continent on earth that is not watching what is going on in the U.S. now. But as Africans, I want to give you a few minutes. Let's go. What is your take so far on the elections? And I'll start from the top, and we can come down. So, Dr. Barth, you want to respond to? You want to give your opinion on what you see about the election so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're great to have great being here again, and thank you for having me. So, in terms of the election, I think one of the things that I've realized is that America is still divided across party lines, and the conservatives are there, and liberals are there. I don't know where the independents are, right. But it tells again. It says a lot to me that yes, the country is divided, and whoever ended up becoming the president of the United States has a lot of work to do, because there will be a huge job in bringing people together. I don't know if that person, whoever that person is, I don't know if he will be able to achieve that goal. But yes, the country is divided.
All right. Country is divided. I think everybody says that. Everybody can agree with you on that. Dr. EMEKA, your take on the election so far?
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with the comments that have been made so far. I think there are quite a number of events that happened over the past 3 years, and particularly this year, that significantly mobilized people and really helped get people out to the polls. So in that, lane alone, I think there has been some progress. Unfortunately, the progress is made on the back of a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of distrust in a lot of our systems, unfortunately. And so a lot of work has to be done to unite people, to give people a little bit more faith and security in our democratic processes. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out. And I certainly agree that whoever assumes that role is, for the next term, really, is going to have to do a whole lot of work to unite people.
Whole lot of work to unite people. Looks like unity is one word that keeps coming out of a lot of people's mouth, because we do care about this nation a lot as Africans, as much as we care about our motherland, mother continent. And we will be talking about it very soon. But Sheriff.
Hello, it's great to have me back here.
Great, great to see you.
Absolutely. From my perspective, it's been very, very interesting actually, because it's a bit much more closer to call than I presumed, in all honesty, because I expected this election to be either one way or the other, but not right in the middle, all the way from yesterday into tonight. That's very, very interesting. I've been bouncing ideas back and forth or communicating back and forth with my friends and colleagues, and a lot of them are kind of surprised as to the fact that, you know, the speeches that both candidates gave last night was fairly interesting. And again, that touches on the polarity of the nation at the moment, which is something that, you know, as we've all previously mentioned, or both individuals earlier has mentioned, it's something that whoever takes power would have to put in their priority. I don't think, you know, the incumbent would do that, because we know what the past 4 years has been like and, you know, direction that's been in. But hopefully we can get a change of direction regardless of who takes the position.
Regardless of who takes the position. My brother, Oben, your take, please.
Thank you very much. You know, there is a lot of uncertainty right now. America is in a standstill. The world is watching and waiting. American policies affect the world. So back in Africa, in Europe, or wherever part of the world, people are actually waiting for who America is going to decide to take over this mantle of power. So we are all anxious. We are all in prayers. Our fingers are all crossed, and we are waiting. The next couple of hours are very, very pregnant.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate your thoughts. What would you say to people who are extremely nervous right now? I know some have been fasting since yesterday. People are just not eating. People are just not living. You just can't wait to see the outcome of this. As you know, Africans and as Americans as well. What would you want to say to those people who are sitting on tenterhooks and you know, and just counting the minutes and seconds? A word of caution to them, a word of advice to them. Okay, so Dr. Barth is definitely not part of them, because he can contribute because he's part of those people that are sitting on the text.
No, I mean, you know what? I'm just thinking about, you know, folks back home, you know. But I mean, the media, the pundits, and whoever, the things I kept on hearing since yesterday was patience. So that's what I will say. And the most important thing for me is, come on, there is life after the U.S. general election. We're just gonna move on after 2-3 days. No matter who becomes the president, life will still go on. So please, patience and just calm down. You know, there's life after election, please.
I'd like to remind our listeners that this show is carried on MyStar radio station in Washington, D.C. MyStar is a Pan-African radio station for the discerning listener. We are live on MyStar currently, and also live on Trend Africa TV. Trend Africa TV, you can find it on Facebook and YouTube. And so are we on YouTube, The Progressive Minds on YouTube as well. Remember to share the feed as we engage. And what I wanted to add to what I would say what people should be doing at this moment is, don't you watch the news, you know, watch a movie, get your mind off of this. And like my brother said, there's life after this. But I think the most very crucial question that I've been thinking of asking you guys this evening. Now, listeners, please pardon us. I mean, like I said, this conversation today, we wanted to build our discussion off of the one we started last week, which is End SARS, the foundation. We talked about it, how it started. We wanted to build off that today, and specifically talking about how we can harness the diaspora and African support. But you know, in all of this, has an overarching situation, which is the U.S. election, and so it becomes very pertinent that we touch on that. But gentlemen, how does the U.S. election affect African continent or the African continent and African economies? I would like to start with John. The impact of this and the reason why it's very, very important that as Africans, we add our voice to the political decorum that's currently going on.
Well, thank you again very much for that question. I would like to, first of all, start by stating that regardless the outcome of this election, U.S. foreign policy in Africa remains the same. There may be a bit of differences depending on who takes over power, but we have seen, even in the era of President Trump in the very first 4 years, we have seen him extend a hand in terms of healthcare, specifically with the COVID-19 situation in Africa. We have seen that, and that is one of the things that African countries must pay a little bit attention to. That is how it's going to affect us. U.S. stands strongly for human rights, respect for human rights, and also for good democratic processes, holding leadership accountable, and all of those. So, in terms of the political side of it, we see the United States very, very involved, and so some of these things are things that African countries and Africans should pay close attention to. It's not like if we decide we vote for the incumbent, the Donald Trump, well, is he going to continue with the policies? Is Joe Biden going to continue the policies? Again, I just wanted to state a little bit of an observation. You see, when I was looking and talked to different people, there's one thing that the African people kind of, they think that Joe Biden could be a prefect for Africa, and they have their reasons. And others think that Donald Trump is the best, for Africa at this time, and they also have their reasons. But I'll tell you specifically some of the reasons that were given to me. They think that Joe Biden will be a little bit soft, especially in the area of immigration and others. Then the little bit of resentment that people have pointed out is Donald Trump's attitude towards Africa, especially. He has made statements like calling African countries shithole countries, whether that is true or not, but it kind of created that attitude a little bit like, hey, we do not want to deal with somebody like this. But he has also done things for Africa that we can comment. So can you comment on one of the things? One of what? The things
that he's done for Africa?
Well, like I said earlier, he had actually helped Africa in terms of economy, the healthcare, the coronavirus, the pandemic. He had disbursed a lot of help for African countries.
Financial help, right?
Financial help,
right,
to get coronavirus. And I also talk about military sanctions, especially in Cameroon. I think this is going to be a different conversation, but I'll just give a little bit of highlight on this. When the government of Cameroon continued to go brutal on armless civilians, and despite every call for them to dialogue with separatist leaders, they keep turning these calls down. So every protest, people have been killed, women have been raped, and all of this. The United States won. And the president didn't listen. And I am still so proud of him that he took military action by suspending the military aid to Cameroon for a very long time. And they are still considering sanctioning Cameroon if Cameroon does not respect human rights.
Okay.
I think that those are some of the positive things that I can point out.
Great point. Dr. EMEKA, your perspective on how significant this election would be, the outcome of this election would be on the continent of Africa, specifically some of the economies of Africa that you can speak to.
Got it. No, I really appreciate the question and the opportunity to weigh in. Of course, I can't take sides one way or the other. But one thing I will say is that the world really looks to the United States for leadership when it comes to setting the example for democracy.
Exactly.
Many societies, particularly in Africa, that have begun making the transition, or at least flirting with the idea of democracies for their governance. Nigeria is an example that is, done what it's done so far to try to make that transition. I would refer to Nigeria perhaps as a pseudo democracy, only because several of the leaders that Nigeria has had over the past couple of decades have really been individuals who were military personnel that basically took the uniform off and continued to lead. And so, but more importantly, the example of democracy and what a democracy should sound like, what it should look like, the security that is required. When we think of security, people think of arms, but it's not that. It's everything, including your telecommunications infrastructure, your security in how polls are submitted, how they're counted and tallied, the protections of various populations and cohorts, that there wouldn't be any fear of retribution for supporting one individual or the other, or one party or the other, and everything in between that. And so the United States really has historically played that role. And folks are looking at the United States currently for that example. I think the comment was made earlier that where the U.S. goes, in a lot of cases, the rest of the world also goes. And so, in the spirit of really keeping it high level, one of the things that's truly on the ballot today, well, at least yesterday, is really democracy, not just for the United States, but for the world.
For the world. Democracy, not just for the United States, but for the world. My brother, SHERRIF.
I think your last statement is key, absolutely, Dr. EMEKA, being the fact that that democracy compass itself that the United States has set for over centuries is kind of something that Africa will look up to and tries to embody at the best of our abilities. I believe the incumbent president, or the incumbent candidate, kind of laid out his agendas for Africa early in December 2018, I believe. A lot of those strategies that fall short, or those policies that fall short. Hopefully Biden can pick that up, or even Trump himself can become more accountable to those policies and kind of embody them as written or as proposed earlier. In addition to that, I feel like over the past 4 years, the U.S. has become a bit vacant in Africa in particular, and it's given a lot of rooms for other power nations like China and Russia to kind of fill those gaps in most of the African nations. And I think that might be something for the United States to consider in terms of being a power holder in the nation, in the world rather, and seeing how they can reposition themselves in Africa as a nation, as a whole.
Great point. Dr. Barth, you'll be the last one to have a take on this, and then we shall dive straight into the SARS conversation. Please go ahead.
Well, honestly, I am not really someone that is. I don't like the idea of American foreign policy when it comes to other countries, yeah, especially when it comes to the continent of Africa. Okay. SHERRIF just made a very good point that I was thinking about, and he just took it right away. That China is that China is filling the void that America has left, because the past 4 years, it seems like there is no African presence. There's no American presence in the continent of Africa. Right. I don't call that filling a void. I call that, in my own opinion, that is neo-colonialism. You know, it is neocolonialism as far as I am concerned. And I'm just listening. I'm just and listening to everyone. I'm just thinking, when are we going to get our minds? I mean, no country can stand by itself, right? But when we talk about Africa all the time, it seems like we're looking at, or these people are coming to kind of help us, basically. And we keep on talking about democracy. And again, the question I will ask is America truly a democracy? And if if it is a democracy, is the Western form of democracy good for the continent of Africa? You know, yeah. So for me, I have my own perspective when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to the Europeans, Asians, especially the Chinese, or the United States get into. But one last thing, we just have to understand one thing. American foreign policy is America first, whether Democrat or Republican. It is America first. They are looking at the interest of the United States. So right now, I don't know what their foreign, or whoever is going to be in office, I don't know what their foreign policy is going to be towards the continent of Africa. It's left to be seen.
Great. No, gentlemen, thank you so much. Like I said, we wanted to see how this is going to play out. Of course, it's not like we already don't have an idea. You know, most of us, I mean, a lot of people already know that, okay, you know, America has interest in, you know, everywhere in the world, especially, at least we know that in Africa as well. But we just want to see how we can add our voice to the current election process and in this country, and what role is going to play, you know, how it's going to impact Africa, you know, in a way or the other. So gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your opinion. Excellent, intelligent opinions. We really appreciate it. You're watching the Progressive Mind Show. I am your host, Alinko. We would like to take a short break, and then when we come back, the issue of SARS has not died out, okay? And so we want to make sure that we keep this conversation going, the momentum going, until we can see a very significant change in what the youth or the people of Nigeria are asking for. So stay with us. When we come back, we'd like to dive into that. In the meantime, remember to share the feed if you're on Facebook and on YouTube. It is the Progressive Minds. You're also listening to us live on MyStar Radio. It's a Pan-African radio station for the discerning listener in Washington, D.C. We shall be right back.
Check out this beautifully made artistry of coffee tables made from a combination of recycled tires, jute ropes, wood, and fabric to suit your style. Yes, we make to order. These coffee tables can help you make a statement in your bedrooms, offices, and living rooms. But remember, we only ship within the USA and Canada after shipping cost is paid. Call Jasper Designs on 1-306-203-2650 or email us at doduyayra@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Jasper Love or follow Pearl Yara Agboka on Facebook. Don't be left out. Please place your orders now.
Well, we are back on the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Sena, aka Alinko, and we want to go straight to our panel this evening to talk about SARS. Gentlemen, unfortunately, audience, we missed a guest who was supposed to be giving us, an update on what's going on currently, a current update of SARS in Nigeria today. But we are hoping she can still join us. Last week, we had one from Nigeria, and she did her best to give us what was on the ground regarding to SARS. So we were hoping to continue with that, but we hope we can get that some way, somehow. But gentlemen, before we talk about, talking about the support from the African continent and in the diaspora, what are you hearing so far regarding to SARS in Nigeria? I want to start. Anybody can volunteer. If not, I'll just start from the top and come all the way down.
To my knowledge, there are two key factors that are progressing currently right now. So I hear of a social media bill that's currently being discussed.
Social media bill.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think that's it's going to be a restriction, but it's not official yet. It's still in discussion phase, and they're still on the floor discussing that particular bill. In addition to that, the parliaments have been set up to to investigate the massacre at Lekki and also any other SAS incident that's brought up to the team, and they can report that to the law agencies.
Okay. So
go ahead.
Okay, so that means the government is actually doing something about this.
Well, I wouldn't say doing something per se. What they are doing something is that what we want them to do, and at the pace in which the general public demands, is kind of like the real question at hand right now.
Yeah, but if the government is, set up, from what I gathered, from what I heard from you, the government has set up a committee to look into some of the incidences that went down in Lekki, which is a city or a town in Nigeria, right?
Correct.
Which caused lives, of citizens in Nigeria. I think at least it's a positive move from the government, while we call for other reform and other things. Okay, Dr. Shepkong, you wanted to.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's a start, but knowing Nigeria, again, it depends on how far they really want to take that, and how serious they really want to take the investigation, and how long will that panel be there for. So I think for me it's a way of just trying to keep the protesters quiet, just to show them that, oh, we're doing something.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, yes, Sheriff is right. I heard about the social media bill. It seems like they're trying to restrict, that's the problem, because all these things, started from this hashtag and hashtag that, and but it seems like, I don't know how true that is, but it seems I don't know if they are going to really make that happen. But basically, that's what I heard about the social media, that they're trying to really restrict people from posting some things via social media.
Yeah. Well,
so and you look at that, that's a violation, right? That's another violation of human rights. So
I believe if you post anything that's that.
But are people still protesting? I don't know, Dr. EMEKA, I don't know if you wanted to add your voice to this.
Well, I must say that
in terms of what you were hearing currently, yes.
Yeah. So the concern really is just how genuine some of these actions that are being taken truly are. I mean, if you're setting up essentially commissions to investigate what has happened, and then you're turning around and essentially muzzling, the populace from, exposing some of the things that are going on. Those two behaviors are somewhat inconsistent. And so there is some concern on the ground as to, one, how genuine some of these actions are. And secondly, some uneasiness as to the new shape that SARS is going to take. Right? These kinds of police units have taken various shapes and forms through the years. It's one acronym after the other. And so people are just concerned, what's the next version of this kind of brigade going to look like? And what's going to truly be their purpose, and how is it going to affect people?
But okay, let's understand, let's try to see what we can what we can do in terms of creating more awareness here. Now, in terms of protest though, SHERRIF and OTUN, do you know, I'm still seeing videos. Are people actively still on the streets protesting? Do you think all the momentum has literally died down?
I think the momentum currently has relatively died down in the majority of the cities that initiated those protests. There are some local governments around different states that are still carrying out small protests in different magnitudes, I should say, rather. But for the majority of part, I think everything has kind of died down. Right now, I feel like the people are doing a lot more reflection as to the next action to take forward in terms of what do the citizen actually want. So I think the conversation is kind of gearing more to where do we want Nigeria to go and what role do we have to play as a citizen to get us there.
Wow. Okay. So you won't say that the elections have, I mean, the protest has died down because the government actually forced people to stay home, but you would say that it's a strategic kind of like
a little bit of both, a little bit of both. So absolutely, the military force definitely kept a lot of people back home and made them kind of be more cautious about being on the street. There's a lot of curfew sets in so many different states. I believe Lagos had like 24-hour curfew for like 3 days or 2 days right after the Lekki incident. So late in October, and other states follow suit as well. You know, Edo, even in the southeast and even in the northern region, in some cases also had curfews. Those curfews are relatively getting lifted now, but there is still military presence in Nigeria in most states as we speak. And that's another chaotic incident going on with the palliatives and warehouses being looted and, you know, certain other things going on around the nation.
Great. Warehouses being looted. Let's talk about that aspect. A lot of people also, a lot of citizens also say that they developed some kind of cold shoulders towards the SARS movement from what they had initially because people started, you know, engaging in looting and whatnot. How do we argue this? Do they have? Are people right to say, you know what? I was for SARS for the initial ideology, which is peaceful protest for change, and then all of a sudden the looting and all came in, and so why are you looting when we started off well and the government seemed to be listening to us? Why are you now looting? And so for that matter, I am out of, you know, people have tuned off of the SARS movement. And there are people who are legitimately arguing that. What would you want to say to that type of mindset or that type of argument?
To that argument in particular, I feel like we need to kind of go down and understand the origin of this movement in the first place. So it started from intellectuals going on the social media, using their platform to create an awareness to incidents going on in the country, right? And from that, after roughly about 2 weeks, it spilled to the rural areas in Nigeria in different cities. And it became kind of chaotic. And that's when the looting and it became disorganized, to say, you know. But to Nigerian citizens who are concerned and who are worried and saying, you know, I was once for this movement and I'm no longer for this movement based on the shape of the morph it's become now. To them, I say it is still their responsibility, especially the middle class of Nigeria, because they're the one benefiting in one way or the other. They're the one who have a constant salary. They're the one who can still provide 3 square meals to the kids. They're the one who lives in the fancy house and can have 3 cars in their garages. And they are the one, their voices is the one that we need the loudest, you know. So for them, they need to understand the conditions in which these individuals who are looting or who are destroying the government properties are in on a day-to-day basis. And they understand that. They are not naive to that. So understanding that, they can kind of understand where their action is coming from. So it's not for them to say, I'm not for this anymore. It's for them to sit down and try to come up with a solution to the problem that Nigeria is currently facing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Nigerians, we tend to forget one thing, right? I am from the north central part of Nigeria, and first of all, I am not in support of any form of looting, right? But you know, whenever there is a crisis, you know, growing up in Jos Plateau State, whenever there is a crisis in Jos, I remember I experienced the crisis of 2001. There were a lot of people that were looting people's property. So, and when you look at it, there's a fundamental problem. It's not that, you know, it's not that these people are out there just to go and loot. When you look at them, you ask, for example, I remember vividly asking someone, you know, why are you doing this? That was in 2001. Why are you doing this? Why are you guys destroying? Why are you looting people's property or looting people's stuff? And he was, of course, I need to eat. So sometimes people take advantage of a situation, and when people are someone, as we call them in Nigeria, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but if people have no future, or they have this, they don't have any hope, what do you expect? I think we need to go back. We need to go back to the bottom of the problem. All these guys that are looting, they are the people that are out of school, people that they don't have work, they don't even know where their next meal is going to come from. And again, these are the same people that sometimes, most of the time, the politicians in Nigeria use for their own selfish interests.
Right.
So these are the kind of folks that we have to look. I mean, the NSAS protest started, from a very great perspective. They were so intellectual, they were so strategic in what they were doing. Right. Not until these riffraffs, according to someone, these people just came in and just disrupted everything. So, and now they are just trying to lump them in the same basket, which to me is unfair. But at the same time, if we are looking at it, and for those Nigerians that are saying, I used to, right now I don't know what I think about all these answers, I think we need to think twice and look at it from the beginning, because there is a serious structural problem that is causing this.
Serious structural problem. I don't know if Dr. Emeka or John wants to add their voice to this.
Yeah, no, I think that is an excellent comment. And, the issue around the genesis of SARS in the very first place is really evidence of a symptom. So SARS is really a symptom. It's not the issue. And I'm sure I'm going to irritate people by saying that, but it's a symptom. It is an outcome born out of deeper issues in Nigeria, and that these deeper issues present themselves in, or let me just say, manifest themselves in a number of symptoms, inclusive of, but not limited to, SARS. And the deeper issue, the fundamental issue at the core of all of this is corruption. Corruption at the state level, local level, regional, certainly at the federal level. We're talking about a nation that is arguably the wealthiest on the continent of Africa, the most populated on the continent of Africa, upwards of about 200 million people.
In Nigeria alone.
In Nigeria alone, extremely endowed in resources. We're still quick to mention crude oil, but water itself is a significant resource in Nigeria. Two of some of the most major rivers on the continent of Africa flow through Nigeria and confluence in Nigeria, with the ability to, by the way of turbines, provide power extensively, not just to the nation, but across West Africa, where power and energy in the form of water, in the form of electricity, can be exported, just crude oil. And so the question becomes, what happens to all those resources? Why don't people on the ground, the everyday man or woman in the community, everyday young person, right? Why don't they see that money? Why don't they see the opportunities? And it's very simple. It's because of corruption. There are budgets that are cut. There are line items for various amenities, whether it's infrastructure, security itself, institutions of higher learning, healthcare systems, roads, water, electricity. And those resources never make their final destination, right? only fractions of those resources make their final destination. And so the men that are issued these uniforms and weapons are just as hungry as the people that they oppress. They're looking for their next meal too, right? The only difference is they've been given weapons and rugged uniforms with which to oppress their fellow man. So I certainly agree with the comment from Dr. SHEPKONG that really talks about a disenfranchised population of people who capitalize on opportunity. And so when you have the chaos that is sort of looming in the background, or the chaos that's real and palpable, where you see people carrying leaves in the street and really rioting and protesting, these folks seize it and jump on it as an opportunity to loot and commit crimes.
Man. My brother, John, I don't know if you would like to add your voice to what has been said so far before we move to the next one.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Dr. EMEKA and Dr. BARTH. The situation in Nigeria is the same situation that cuts across the different African countries. But let me just respond a little bit to Nigeria. You see, when you or the government refuses to dialogue or to talk with moderates, what happens is that it gives a way for radicals to come in. And this is exactly what is happening. When the NSAS initiative came up, I'm sure even before that, there have been calls on the government of Nigeria to change policies. And what I've learned also is that this same group of peacekeeping, or whatever they call them, the SARS, they have been changed different names, but the same people remain. It's kind of like you play music and you just change dancers and the music keep playing. It's the same music. So, and then when people start rising to say, we have petitions for these things, we have written a lot of complaints about this, we have done all we can. Now we have to come to the street to not only to show you that we can come to your face, but also that the world would know, and also that our grievances will be communicated to the rest of the world.
Right.
And you pick up arms, you send their own very brothers and sisters who are as hungry as they are, just like Dr. EMEKA said. We push them out there, we give them guns, and order them to shoot and kill. That is the problem we have in Africa. It is the same problem Cameroon is going through today. When the lawyers took to the street and the teachers to decry, to talk, to approach the government against marginalization of the English-speaking part of the Cameroon, the government didn't listen. One of the ministers actually asked them, "Vous allez faire quoi? What are you going to do?" The lawyers were beaten, their wigs seized from them, a lot of them were in jail, and the local population and all of these other hungry guys in the street, taxi drivers and others, they were like, okay, if those who can speak for us are being treated this way, it means we have no voice. So they took to the street. And that is what has become the conflict that is actually going on in Cameroon right now. As I speak now, we have over 70,000 Southern Cameroonians in Nigeria as refugees. We have more than 500,000 displaced internally in Cameroon. We have over 3,000 that have been killed, including children. The most recent, just about a week ago, happened in one of the cities, Kumba, where 7 school children, students, were killed inside their classroom, and fingers are pointed at the military. So these are the kinds of things. The United Nations is calling, all other international organizations are calling, human rights society is calling for negotiation, for dialogue. And just like it is the situation in Nigeria, Cameroon government continue to play delay tactics. So while other people are dying, this is the same thing that is getting across all over Africa. And we in this generation, we have to stand up. And that's I am so proud with this SARS. I have advocated, I have called friends, we have talked about this SARS movement. I am a strong believer of this movement, just like the other movements that we have in our Southern Cameroon restoration movements. So what I'm saying here is that we are the never again generation. We have to hold on to this spirit. We have to change the status quo. Whether the world is coming to help us or not, we have to remain very, very firm on this thing. Let these leaders know that something can be done. They need help. And until we get to a point where people are going to start resigning from their positions, there will not be a better Nigeria, there will be not a better Cameroon, there will not be a better Africa. So we have to remain standing, rise and keep fighting.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. One would wonder, how do we organize as Africans for change? How do we, keep a momentum? How do we sustain a movement like the one, like SARS, like NSARS? And how do we galvanize support from our fellow Africans on the continent and in the diaspora? I think that has been one of our biggest problems. One of them, yes, absolutely one of them. Organizing, coordinating our efforts and working together. We don't seem, or we haven't seemed to have done that very well in the past. And I'm glad that this generation, especially the sandwich generation, which is what I, myself and you guys and the generations below us, we see light at the end of the tunnel. Our eyes red. This is straightforward African English. Our eyes red, which means we are ready. Our blood is hot. All right. This time our blood is really hot. We really want to make a change in our lives and on the continent of Africa for our forefathers who shed blood for us, our parents who may not be able, who couldn't have done it because of a whole bunch of reasons, and the children that are going to come after us. Thank you so much for joining us, Zahid Hassan Tuhin. He's been here from the beginning. Thank you so much, Zahid. Rebecca says, Captain Mike, great Captain Mike. Thank you so much, Rebecca Muddy, for always joining us. Black Jesus says, yes, sir, well put together, Mr. Shepkong, Dr. Shepkong. He says, I love this man. Big up yourself, Shepkong. Well, Dr. Bath, you've won yourself a friend in Chicago. So great information, Rebecca says. And Ate Akron says, I have trouble understanding why the Nigerian government doesn't just end the SARS program and all similar units, considering the international outcry. What is the Nigerian government incentive to keep SARS going? Before I let you all respond to that question, in 2 minutes, we will take a short break. But I want SHERRIF to elaborate. If you can tell us, you've mentioned the Lekki issue, I think twice, whilst you were making your case. Can you expand? Can you let us, what is Lekki issue? I mean, what is, for people who don't know what Lekki is and what issue it was, so if you can help us understand that better.
Well, in particular, Lekki itself is located in one of the most prominent sections or regions in Lagos. It's a very, very high prominence region of Lagos where you have a lot of businesses and a lot of wealthy residents as well. Okay. And it connects also Lagos and links it between the island and the mainland as well. And there's a lot of traffic flow, a lot of money flowing through there, a lot of it's a very, very prominent section of Lagos. And the road itself was built roughly about, I think, 4 years ago. It's the Lekki EPEY highway. Mm-hmm. So when the NSARS movement started to gain momentum, the toll gate of Lekki itself was kind of like the center hub for the protest.
Okay.
It was kind of like just where everyone decided to gather together. Okay. They provided food, provided entertainment for the protesters. They provided health care for the protesters, for whoever needed it. So it was kind of like a collaborative effort by the city itself, and not the city as in the government, but the people of the city, to use that to get their voice heard to the government. So they actually closed out that toll gate for roughly about, I think, 3 to 4 days. And I think on the 20th of October, 2020, this year, they were having a protest that was going on for 24 hours at that same site. However, I believe roughly about 12 a.m. Nigeria time, military personnel were dispersed to that location. Prior to that, the surveillance camera was removed from that toll gate location. And keep in mind, there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of people gathering at this location every day for roughly a week and a half to 2 weeks. And right about midnight, they cut out the street light to that region. They barricaded over thousands of individuals in a very small, tight space, and they opened fire. The kids and young adults and youth holding the Nigerian flag up high and singing the national anthem while sitting on the floor to show that they have no threat to the nation and they're actually in solidarity for the nation. A lot of lives were lost. A lot were not accounted for. In addition to that, the next morning, the Lagos State Governor, Sanwo-Olu, addressed the public, and he mentioned that no life whatsoever was lost at that incident. However, it was very wrong, because he contradicted himself a few days later. And the world now knows that more than 12 lives were lost and many more injured at that incident. And there's still no one left to be held accountable for that.
Well, that is the story of the African youth nowadays, should I say. It's been there, it's been going on for a long time, and it's been going on for a long time. So I can't even say nowadays. This is a story of the African youth, but it's going to change. Nothing remains forever, and as long as we have life and we can speak about it, that is the least we can do. So we are encouraging you to add your voice. Of course, you're now in Nigeria, so if you're not in Nigeria, there's nothing you can do. But you can hashtag, you can use social media. That should be your weapon. That should be your voice. That is your power. And so we are asking you all to join the people of Nigeria in this fight, as we know it's not just pertaining to Nigeria, the entire Africa. As my brother John has said, Cameroon is going through similar situation. The world is not talking about it because Cameroon has not, demonstrated or has not gone on a mass demonstration. The citizens of Cameroon have not engaged or embarked on a mass demonstration just like the Nigerians are doing. So we don't seem to be hearing it a lot, but this is how it starts. This movement is going to have a ripple effect on the entire continent. Okay, the SARS thing, I believe, is just it's opened everybody's eyes. I think it started from George Floyd. Wherever it started from, this is just the era. This is the era of truth. And the youth and the young ones say, you know what, we will not take, oppression, lightly. We will speak against it and we'll do something about it. We'll try and make a change. And so that is where we are. May God help us.
Broadly, I would just like to step in there with the issue of Cameroon. I'm not going to do any more talking about that, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that this conflict is it's been going on for 4 years. There have been public demonstrations in every country in this world, including the United States. There have been mass protests in front of the White House and different embassies, the French embassies, the Nigerian embassies, and all the kinds of embassies that you can imagine, not only in the US, but across the world, and even in Africa, those protests have been going on. There have been pictures and all evidence of the Cameroon military killing even a 4-month-old little girl, Martha, in one of the cities in the southwest region of Cameroon. This little girl was in her sleep when she was shot and killed. And so all of these pictures and everything has been out there. What I do not understand and what we are still working on, and what perhaps I can get some help from here, is what is it that we are not doing right in terms of selling out this struggle, this problem to the international community? I see a lot of attention from the world, celebrities, different presidents, and making statements and calling Buhari in Nigeria and all of this. But we have not had that response in the situation in Cameroon yet. It's been going on for over 4 years, or about 4 years. So that's some kind of that's something that, again, is another kind of discussion. I just wanted to highlight that part. Thank you.
Well, yes, it is another time. On another day, we can go deeper into it. But even as of now, it is our story, and so we can deliberate on ideas on how Nigerians have shown the way, and so maybe we can, after this conversation, we can talk. Maybe Dr. BARTH, EMEKA, SHERRIF, we can connect and see. Yeah, SHERRIF has an idea. But SHERRIF, before you continue, please hold that thought. Please don't forget. Let me take this short break. When we come back, we will definitely continue. You're watching The Progressive Minds. My name is Alinko. Stay tuned. Hey, please share the feed as you're on Facebook and on the YouTube page. Share the feed now. We'll take a short break. We shall be right back.
Your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinko.
Well, we're back to the show, and Black Jesus, Royal Black Jesus, is watching us live. He's made his comment. Royal Black Jesus is the owner of Trend Africa TV, Redefining Africa. We have a comment here from Gatomo Mapis, who says, great thoughts. As always, Pan-African leadership from the diaspora is the hope Africa needs. It's our time. If not now, when? Keep the momentum going. Thank you so much. We would come to the question that was asked earlier, but SHERRIF, please go ahead and make that submission.
Mr. John, first and foremost, I would like to at least request of you not to apologize for bringing up that topic, and you may, at least from my perspective, continue to bring that topic on within this duration of time that we have, however you see fit the conversation itself. The matter in Cumbia itself actually came to my awareness the day that incident happened, because I actually have a friend who is a brother to me who actually called me almost in tears, telling me about that incident in that high school, because that was the same exact high school he went to, and he knew that community. Although he's here in the States, he knew that community, and he was emotionally shaken, And in terms of when it comes to solution, I think the first agenda should be, because I'm still looking into the case itself, into the incident, trying to get a good understanding of what's going on. So I think the first is to be able to let the world understand the nature of the incident itself. And then let's try to craft a demand that's clear and direct. And that way we can push for one unilateral solution to that problem. And we can all be on the same page about the issue itself. But first is for you to bring understanding to us as Africans about the nature of the situation currently in Cameroon.
Thank you so much, SHERRIF. Thank you so much for adding your voice to that. That's powerful. Dr. BARTH, I don't know if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the issue of African struggle, especially in the African continent. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even know if with the NSAS thing, I don't know if the African Union even made a statement. I don't know. I'm just asking. Do you guys have an idea if the African Union ever made a statement?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah,
and that the chairman of the African Union, the Commissioner Musa Fakai, he just made a request from the Nigerian government to work together and see how to bring lasting solutions. And he also extended his condolences to those who lost their life, and also was wishing those who are still injured speedy recovery. But again, I just wanted to add a little bit of a comment here. The African Union has not been of any help to the African continent. And this is a conversation that will also come up. But I would say two things here. When you have France on the other side sponsoring the African Union, of course you expect things like this. They would never say anything that will work against the interests of these colonial powers. So the dynamics, to understand some of these things, you go a little bit deeper. So when there have been several requests, the African Union, in the face of a crisis like this, is supposed to send a stronger statement to the government.
Yeah.
But when you see statements like this, it's just a job of the same people.
Actually, you've made my point, because that was exactly why I asked that question. It's not just in the Cameroon. I mean, I don't know if the protest is still going on or it has died down. I mean, the protest is always going on in Zimbabwe that we don't even know about, and then we don't even talk about it.
I think Guinea also has a
You see, so it's just. Going back to your last question on what do you do, how do you, I mean, again, you have to just tell your story. That is just, just look at what these young men and women did in Nigeria. You just have to tell your story. I mean, it's not going to be easy. We live in the world of social media today, and that's what they used. So no one is going to tell your story if you don't tell your own story. And I think that is part of the problem. Or maybe we Africans, let us call it what it is. Maybe we Africans are not even concerned about what is happening to our fellow African.
That's true.
Maybe we should just call it what it is, because it's just happening to these Cameroonians. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. There's a Hausa saying that says, if the beard of your friends is on fire, you better look for water and just because you don't know, it might come to you. So the truth is, maybe we don't care, or maybe we are not interested. We are disinterested in what is going on in other African countries, but we don't know what the problem is. But I think this idea of African unity, I think we really need to redefine the idea of African unity, because I think the idea of African unity is no longer there.
Dr. EMEKA, I know Sherrif wants to say something. Dr. EMEKA, why?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. But I wanted to ask you a specific question. But if
please ask.
And then you can marry it with the point you wanted to make. Why do you think that Africans don't seem to be interested in our own affairs, and more so in the affairs of other African nations? Why do we seem to be so disinterested? We can talk about American politics all day. We can be interested in European development and how the Chinese and how Dubai is developing and be concerned. But when it comes to our own story, we don't even know it, let alone, we don't even talk about it, let alone know it, vice versa. So why do we have this problem, and how can we begin to mitigate these?
Absolutely. And I really thank you for that question. Leading into this show, of course, the gentleman guest, we had some time to kind of introduce ourselves and chat a little bit. And there was a little bit of discussion about this documentary that really talks a little bit about the history of Africa, perhaps certain nations, and the history of colonialism.
Right.
The fundamental strategy of colonialism, or honestly any oppressive system, is to divide and conquer.
Yep.
And the fact that we are where we are today is evidence that these systems of oppression were unfortunately successful. And even though, for the most part, the physical occupancy of societies and African nations, communities, doesn't physically have, colonialists, the reality is the systems that were put in place are still in place. Mm-hmm. These systems are designed to cause division, cause certain degrees of friction along various lines. It could be between nations, it could be between tribal groups, it could be between the religious subgroups within the nation. It could be between the educated and non-educated. It could be between the wealthy and the everyday middle-class citizen. And the idea of this strategy is to sow confusion, to plant seeds of confusion, kind of like a magician's sleight of hand, right? Magician, I mean, are they really doing magic? I mean, of course, we can get into black magic and all of it. Yeah. But, part of it is just illusions, right? The idea that I will distract you over here, and then over here, I'm able to do a trick that you won't notice. The trick is the systematic siphoning of resources out of the continent of Africa. And this was happening as far back as the days of slavery, where the resource was human capital, to today, where we're literally talking about, natural resources and money. I mean, raw money, that's literally being stolen. And how is this being done? The confusion and the strategic planting of, I would call them agents, who might look like me and you, but their interests, unfortunately, are sinister. The interests are not really for their fellow Africans. The interests are for their own families, their own pockets, and certainly their contacts in the West or various nations of colonization through the years. So this is why, to directly answer your question, okay, Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Only we can free our mind, can free ourselves. Yeah. So it really goes back to that. We are still, as a continent, mentally enslaved by these systems that were strategically placed to facilitate the systematic siphoning of resources away from the continent.
Wow. Okay. No, great point. We would come back to these excellent points that you are making, but I just wanted to confirm the statement made by the chairperson of the African Union on the situation in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On the 21st October 2020, Addis Ababa, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mohammed, strongly condemns the violence and that erupted on the 20th October 2020 during protests in Lagos. Nigeria has resulted in multiple deaths and injuries. The chairperson offers his sincere condolences to the families of those who lost their lives and wishes a speedy recovery to the injured. The chairperson appeals to all political and social actors to reject the use of violence and respect human rights and the rule of law. He further urges all the parties to privilege dialogue in order to de-escalate the situation and find concrete and durable reforms. In this regard, the chairperson welcomes, and is the last line, a chairperson welcomes a decision by the federal government to disband the Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS as an important step in this direction. The chairperson reiterates the African Union's commitment to continue to accompany the government and people of Nigeria in support of peaceful situation and encourages Nigerian authorities to contact and to conduct an investigation to ensure perpetrators of acts of violence are held to account, issued by Abba Kolanda, a spokesperson to the chairperson, African Union Commission. Now, just wanted to give a little update on the elections so far. And we're looking at a couple of media outlets, and the almighty CNN has their updates. Just want to refresh my screen now because it was up a little bit while ago. I want to refresh and make sure that what I'm giving you is latest. It's still 253 for Joe Biden and 213 for electoral vote. 213 electoral votes for what do you call it, Trump, and then 253 for Joe Biden. I don't know why I'm looking at the thing too. I'm looking at it directly. I'm still.
It's not yet prime time, so just give it about 40 minutes.
Okay, good. Maybe a little update here. 90 minutes ago on CNN Politics page, it says, this is where it stands as at now. The Democratic Party nominee Joe Biden leads the race. Actually, no, let me read this. It says Trump leads in Georgia. Has shrunk to about 47,000 votes as more ballots continue to be tallied in the Fulton County home in Atlanta. Based on these projections, this is where the race to 270 currently stands, which is what the number I just gave you. So if the lead has shrunk to 47,000 votes, small, we don't know what will happen, but that's what it says currently. And on another platform, it says that Joe Biden has 200. I don't know why this one is called the Associated Press, and he has Joe Biden at 264 and Donald Trump at 214. The Associated Press. You can look that up now. I don't know why they have a different. And this is current. This is us at 7:21 CST. You know, and so 264, 214 for Trump, 264 for Joe Biden. We don't know, but that's what's currently at the moment. Let's go back to our discussion this evening. You're watching the Progressive Mind Show with Alinko, and we are talking about the African perspective. Today is NSAR's, the diaspora and African support. However, we also know today is a very important day. And so we got the African perspective, our perspective on the elections and how it might play out for the continent of Africa and whatnot. If you just joined us, please help share the feed on Facebook and on YouTube as well. You can also donate to us on our website, theprogressivemindshow.com. We need your support. I can't say that enough. We need your support. There's a lot of things we have to do. From equipment all the way up to social media management, to administration, to production itself, we need help. So if you can volunteer in realms of social media, administration, more importantly, donate to us, it would go a long way. So it's theprogressivemindshow.com. Go on there and help us out. You can also send us cash up to $sign SENAALINCO. The $sign SENAALINCO. That would be a great help to this platform. Well, gentlemen, we have been talking so far about how we can galvanize, how we can get the African support for SARS, how we can add more voices to the movement that is going on in Nigeria. But we also identify some of the problems that is inhibiting us, which is some of you mentioned, mental slavery, neo-colonialism, but internally as Africans, we do have some problems that's now making us, that prevents us from coming together or working together or collaborating or even seeing ourselves as fellow Africans. So what are some of these things that's preventing us? Because we really want to have create the awareness of the importance of fellow Africans adding their voice to what is going on in Nigeria. So how do we as Africans, what is preventing us internally? Let's leave the external forces and let's probably look at some of the internal forces that's preventing Africans from working together in terms of, more specifically, when it comes to SARS. Why are we not seeing the African support as we are supposed to?
Well, I think,
SHERRIF?
Dr. EMEKA made a point earlier, you know, why don't we have one voice, right? Why is it that we lack this common voice? And I think that, to me, it's this idea of divide and conquer.
No, that's what I just mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
If we leave the external forces, the external reasons why we are where we are, within ourselves as Africans, what prevents us? What is it that is within us that does not make us look at our fellow Africans as one? And so when they are in trouble or when they're having a situation, we don't lend our voices to it. Because I remember when Liberia had their issue, well, we had a couple of refugees in Ghana. I don't know if Nigeria has some Liberia in the 90s. Rwanda had theirs. All we did was we heard them on the news, but there wasn't any protest for the international bodies to come to the aid of Nigeria, of Rwanda. It didn't happen for Liberia, and even when it happened in Cote d'Ivoire, so within ourselves, forgetting about the Africans.
Alenko, you can't dissociate those two. You can't.
No, we cannot, because listen, I just want to say this, Senator. The thing is, you look at when there was civil war in Sierra Leone, when the Liberian civil war, Africans were actually they were able to galvanize, to help their fellow Africans. Okay. So right now, I don't really know what the issue is, what the problem is. That is why I said the idea of this divide and conquer, because I remember vividly, during the Sierra Leonean war, Nigeria as a nation played a huge role, in peacekeeping.
Right.
They sent a lot of peacekeeping forces
through ECOMOG, right?
Yeah, through ECOMOG. Yeah, and they were actually Nigeria was the leader. Nigeria was at the forefront of ECOMOG. The same thing with Liberia. The same thing with Liberia. So I don't really know what is going on right now. Why, is it that that was why I asked that question at the beginning about the African Union. Are we even really united as African Union? What is the work of African Union? Is it just go and give statement like that? Just to me, I think it was all well written, but it has no meat in it. That's it. After that statement, what next? So I think there are so many problems that I cannot really pinpoint one.
Yeah, I would like to jump in if that's okay, and kind of paint the picture of resources. Again, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So through generations, we're talking about decades. Nigeria, independence in 1960, a relatively younger republic, but over decades, you've had these systems that have created a sense of scarcity, right? Let's bring it here, for example. When we started experiencing major changes in terms of the supply chain when it came to the pandemic, the coronavirus situation and stuff, you had folks running to the stores, buying up water, tissue paper, food, filling up their gas tanks. Every sense of decency went out the window. We see that when there are hurricanes that are coming, tornadoes. The sense of decency goes out the window, and it's quickly replaced with desperation. And it's usually for a period of time. You might have 5-6 months. Unfortunately, 2020, it's, the desperation has sort of been ongoing practically all year. But you're talking about decades of desperation and scarcity. And so you're talking about it in a more macro way. Why do nations not really support other nations? But you really have to delve deeper in a micro way. You look at streets. You can have mansions on the left and right, but there's no running water in that street. There's no power. There are ditches in the road, right? Why? It's because of this sense of scarcity. I don't have time to look left and right and take care of my fellow man when I don't even know where my meal is coming from.
Right.
And so that mentality, listen, corruption is everywhere, right? It usually happens in more quote unquote advanced societies by way of shell accounts and preferred contracting, right? I'm in a position of power and I will give my brother or my brother-in-law that wonderful contract to make the money, and on the back end, he'll hook me up. And at the end of the day, people come home, they flip a switch when it's dark, they drive down the highway and there's no fear that their car falls in a ditch. If you're hot, you turn on the AC. If you're cold, you put on the heater. If you need gas, you pull over at a gas station. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning and you pump as much gas as you want. There are no lines. Go to a party and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. You can drive home and there's no fear that thugs are going to jump out in the highway and rob you, maybe kill you. And we can go on and on. If you want to learn a trade, you go to a shop, you turn the power, and you can learn your trade. You don't have to wait for that 1 hour when the light, NEPA, comes on for you to charge your cell phone, right? We don't have those. Our leaders have scraped that pot of soup so dry that there is literally nothing for the everyday person. And so we exist, the youth in Nigeria exist in this constant framework of fight or flight. Who can I get over, and how do I protect myself from someone getting over on me? That you never have, when a gazelle, when a deer is running from a lion, it's not thinking about having children. It's thinking about survival. It's running for its dear life, right? We have existed in this state of running for our dear life for decades because of the scarcity. And I'll call it an artificial scarcity that's created by corruption through the years, that we don't even have time to be creative, to look left and right and take care of our fellow nations, our fellow Black people in Africa. We haven't had time to do that because we're trying to just survive.
I got you. Right. No, thank you for a great point. I don't know why I'm getting feedback, but no, thank you so much for a great point. And I think that that really hits on, because I can't add anything to that. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Anybody wants to add to what Dr. Emeka just said?
Yeah, Dr. Sorry. Dr. Emeka, thank you so much for articulating that. I just wanted to dive a little bit on that angle. I think we're talking about why is it that we are not having support within Africa, you know, and I want to go to the political end of this. You see, somebody did mention about divide and rule, and it is something that has been talked about a lot, but I still want to stick on that divide and rule by the colonial powers. I would like to talk a little bit more about France. This is a situation that is happening. France owns the African Union. Now, African Union is just a clique of the same people. President Buhari and President Paul Biya of Cameroon, this is what they did against international law. Refugees who are in Nigeria, asylum seekers, they actually were granted asylum, or at least were in the process, were abducted. This is the case of the separatist leaders of the English-speaking Cameroon. Seseku Ayok Julius was the president and still is the president of this movement. Now, what happened was Paul Biya sent a delegation to Nigeria. They met with Buhari, and Buhari arrested these people. In fact, did not arrest, because that would be illegal terminology to use. Abducted these people. And when even the United Nations High Commission for Refugee intervened, they were assured that they just arrested them for investigation. But a few days or a few weeks later, these people were back in Cameroon. You cannot run away from a country where your life is threatened and then go to a different country and be registered as a refugee and then be sent back to that same country. It is against international law. Now you tell me, who is helping who? And who is able to help who? Can Buhari help Paul Biya? No. Even when everybody in Cameroon is dying, can Paul Biya stand against SAS? Will be standing against Buhari? No. And the same way. So this is just for Cameroon and Nigeria that I can say, but it is the same story that happens across African countries. In the at least before these other regimes, there was a situation in South Africa. You saw how the entire Africa mobilized to beat down this apartheid and rescue South Africa. Different other countries, even Eritrea and others. But generations down the road, these other guys seemed not to get it at all. Or perhaps the same colonial masters who have so much interest in our resources enable them by keeping them there. And that is why you call the international community, you call the UN say African Union is supposed to handle it first. African Union goes there, oh, it's a clique of the same friends. I cannot hurt you. So that is why some of these conflicts, some of these protests are being so delayed and nobody is doing anything about it.
Wow. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show. We are discussing SARS, the African and diaspora support. If you want to add your voice, the number is 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. You can call and add your voice or pass your comment on Facebook and on the YouTube page. We shall read them. And we are going to take a few comments from our Facebook followers. But again, great, excellent points from my audience this evening. I am being joined and being informed by these great guys, Dr. BARTH, Dr. EMEKA, SHERRIF, OTUN, and John OBEN, EPEY, who's soon going to be a doctor too. You know, there are so many doctors in our community. So don't worry, we shall be giving you the information. And let's go to our audience and their comments. No, I think we already read this one. Hey, actually, I was looking at an article today, and I saw a couple of Nigerian-born citizens who have gained what I would say won seats in a lot of these states. Political assemblies and whatnot. There were a couple of names that I was going to bring to the show to read out today. So essentially, a lot of Africans are making inroads in the high political spectrum of the American system, and specifically Nigerians, our brothers, our big brother Nigerians. So when you get there, remember to pull the Togo, Burkina Faso, Ghana, bring all of us to government, so we all go chop money. I am kidding. No, I am kidding.
That is what we call nepotism. When we're talking about corruption right now, right?
No, bring us there. You can pave the way for us to come in without any corruption.
I am so kidding.
How do you do it?
And I brought it up because it seemed to be the tradition in Africa, and we perpetuate this nepotism governance, and we stand against it. It's the worst thing. It's a bad practice, and we don't.
Come on, Sena. Let us not even go there. Do you just want me to say, okay, just look at the current White House?
No, but I'm saying the current White House is a current example of.
It's not just an African problem. Okay, let me just correct. It's not just an African problem.
On the bigger note, okay. Nepotism, I would say, when it comes to the West versus Africa, is practiced more in Africa, or is more prevalent in African politics than, I would say, North American politics?
I respectfully disagree.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree.
All right. Okay, good. Because currently, okay. All right. Let me know. I wanted to give examples in Africa and talk about numbers, but thank you. We disagree to agree on this one. All right. So on another day, we will slice and dice it. But that is probably something that I have noticed. But maybe when we come back, we can go deeper into it. But let's go to our comments, which is one from Gachomo Mapis. She says, "Great thoughts as always. Pan-African leadership from Nigeria, from the diaspora, is the hope Africa needs. It's our time. It's not now. If not now, when?" Oh, I think we've already seen this one. Okay, let me go to the next one. Most of the time, religious and ethnocentric focus distract us. Most countries are dealing with similar issues and don't have anything to offer. Not to mention, we are all self-absorbed.
Absolutely.
And then another point, she said, people are really just focused on trying to survive. Thank you so much. Great points, Gachomo. Thank you so much for your great contribution. Please help share the feed as you're watching. Well, gentlemen, diaspora support. How do we galvanize the diaspora support for NSARS as we speak? But before we talk about how we galvanize, are you all seeing enough support from the diaspora when it comes to the campaign, or the campaign of NSARS in Nigeria? Dr. Emeka, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, to the extent that the word did get out, and of course it's sort of let off the gas a little bit, but to the extent that the word got out, various individuals who have bigger platforms were definitely on board with getting the word out, and they used their platforms, but the onus really is on the youth of Nigeria. And unfortunately, if we have situations where the governance is set up to muzzle them and shut down, social media posting and the curfews and everything in between that, it becomes very, very difficult. But I think to the extent that folks knew what was going on, they put those hashtags out there and they did what they could to kind of propagate the news.
Okay. So Dr. Bath, John, and SHERRIF, from your perspective, do you think you've seen enough support from the diaspora when it comes to the SARS movement and SARS movement?
Well, for me, apart from some celebrities out there and some kind of support from the social media, but I mean, we had our own protest here in Columbus, Ohio, and I must tell you, that was when I started asking the questions. And I might be wrong, but I can count the number of Africans that were there. There was a friend from Ghana, and then I started asking these questions. Okay, where are the other Africans? We have a lot of Africans here in Columbus, Ohio. Where are they? What is going on? And that was why earlier I said, is it just a Nigerian problem, or a Ghanaian problem, or a Cameroonian problem? But in terms of diaspora, to be honest, I don't think, in my own opinion, I don't think I've seen enough support. I might be wrong. But that's my opinion.
SHERRIF?
I would like for you to clarify, because just saying diaspora is broad.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So diaspora, in terms of, have you seen people, let's say, have you heard people, let's say, in Canada, maybe Africans in Canada, or Black people, in general in Canada, taking to the streets with flags or with plaques, showing, waving what the NSARS, what do you call it, plaques? Or have you even, let's say, you live in Madison, have you seen in the state of Illinois or Chicago, Black people taking to the streets and standing in solidarity with the NSARS movement?
I think that to an extent, actually, in all honesty, especially, I believe there were 2 protests in Chicago. Okay. I attended one of them, and I was able to actually run into a lot of my African friends in Chicago at that protest. I feel like a lot of them are just sending support. In particular, they might not be at the forefront of the battle because they don't know what direction we are going or how to lead, you know, but they are lending their support in whichever means they deem necessary or they can.
Okay, so in your opinion, you were seeing support from some portions of the diaspora. I think we had a call. Caller, can you hear us? Okay, looks like we lost the caller. You can call back. It's 815-277. Looks like we're getting the caller again. Caller, can you tell us your name and why you're calling today?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Scott, and I was just calling. I've been watching the discussion. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so
my question. So I've been watching recently, and I hear the discussion focused around the diasporic support in regards to the End SARS movement.
Yes.
And my question to you guys would be, what have we in the diaspora really done to really bridge the gap between, you know, us and different countries? You know, and I think when we talk about where's the support been, and I think that a lot of people just don't know outside of the friends that they have within, you know, within social circles and things of that nature. But my question now is, what way have we tried to bridge that connection? You know, there are different organizations here in the States, some Chinese groups, where when a certain Chinese family comes in, they basically, you know, socialize them within the community, where there isn't such a, you know, a difference on, I'm from Cameroon, I'm from, you know, Ghana, I'm from Togo, whatever it may be. But it's, you know, while we're here, let's bridge the connection, let's bridge the gap, you know, and really get to know each other and really see how we can work together and really draw support for a lot of our, you know, causes back home. But my question is now, what have we really done to really bridge that gap? You know, because again, outside of social circles, many of us are not connected to each other to be able to really know what's going on in the different areas and, you know, what's going on in just basically what's going on in those areas. What have we really done to bridge that connection?
Great question.
That gap?
Great question. Anybody wants to respond to that? But before maybe you're coming, thank you so much, caller. You say your name is Scott, right?
Yes, I live in Wisconsin. So
great, Scott. So from my perspective and from my own little way, what we have tried to do in the past is organize like soccer tournaments. There's one we call the Chicago African Cup of Nations. We were trying to replicate the African Cup of Nations here. And one thing we know is that soccer is the fiber of the African. I mean, a lot of African people, and so we just wanted to use soccer as a platform, the soccer tournament as a platform where we can bring our people together in a solidarity, where we can begin to understand that even though we're from different countries in Africa, there's a need for us to work together. And so we're trying to use social activities or events such as these and other smaller events, you know, to sensitize ourselves in this direction. This year, we're going to do another one. We had what we call the exchange event last year, basically trying to bring Africans and African Americans and diaspora together. And so again, from our quarters, and then beginning of the year, we were doing a monthly meeting at Chicago State, literally engaging other Black folks in the diaspora in these types of conversations. So I think that these and other big events is what maybe we can start looking at to literally bring us together. And while we come together and we are interacting and we are breaking bread and sharing our cultures, I think it creates a movement of us coming together. And so hopefully next year we can, and good that you are contributing to this, because this is how we share ideas and this is how we grow our community. So, but I don't know if my guest would have anything to add to the question you just asked.
I still believe that, in honesty, I think there is a void that exists within diaspora that we, as Africans in diaspora, have to fill. I understand, Alinko, you did make mention of different organizations or different opportunities that currently exist. But like Scott did make mention, majority of them are social gathering. They do not discuss the underlying issues in Africa in an impactful way or in an action-driven manner.
Right.
So I think that we have to reconstruct and find a way to address that.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Anybody else wants to add to that?
Yeah. Again, I just want to reiterate what Sheriff just said. You know, when you look at the Jewish community, you know, you look at some of this immigrant community, you know, what they do most of the time is, you know, they create an enclave whereby they help each other. And I think we are really lacking that in the African community.
Yeah.
And we really need to start thinking towards that, because the idea is most of the time when we come here, we're always focused about people back home, or our people are suffering back home. We don't even think about people here. We have our brothers and sisters here that are suffering too. You know. Someone made mention of the Chinese. Yeah, that was how the idea of the Chinatown came up. It's an enclave. You know. So, yeah. So why can't we have like an African town?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would like to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, okay. Thank you. So I just wanted to add, when I was in Chicago, there is an organization of African unity or something like that in Chicago.
Yes.
It is very, very huge. I used to be part of that organization. I used to go there and help with interpretation of French to English for those of our brothers and sisters who came from French African countries.
Right.
So I used to go there and help. I work with Dr. Ali, who is the CEO of that program, before I left Chicago. So even now, from time to time, I kind of call and check in. If there's something I can do through the phone, I'm open to helping out. So those are some things that are coming up. But I also wanted to say that even the Progressive Mind Show is a very big platform that is, now we can get together as Africans. I'm so delighted that I'm able to meet my brothers right here in this show. This is the information that we need. And if I have anybody to call, I should be calling one or all of you, because we share the same ideas. But there is a challenge, and I'm not sure if you have had this same challenge. This is what I've personally experienced even in my Cameroon community. Most people do not want to get involved actively in this type of activism because they fear that when they go home, of course, they can be identified as somebody who spoke against the government and be arrested. People have different ways that they involve. Even to those, we still allow them to send their support in any other way that they can, while we keep doing this outreach to reach out to those who can come, those who are like us, who can come to the TV, to a show like yours, and air out some of these things. But are we ever going to get everybody come? No.
Right. Thank you so much. Dr. EMEKA, please go ahead.
Sure. I just wanted to say, a lot of this happens among students. So when African students come to the U.S. For education, on various campuses, there are usually African student unions. This really helps students get really assimilated to society here in the U.S., learning some of the most basic things like how to understand your lecturer's accent so you can learn something and pass the class, to the very basics, getting your ID, your driver's license, understanding the health, learning how to navigate the healthcare system. So there are very micro organizations that serve to help people get acclimated to things here, or even, again, for those of you in the northern parts of North America, the weather, learning how to dress, understanding, the importance of layering. So some of the very basic things to more complex things. And I certainly agree with Sheriff that, there could be more discussion around the economics of the continent of Africa. There is so much opportunity in that country, Nigeria specifically, being the wealthiest nation on the continent, the most populous nation on the continent. And more can be done. I think there's a recognition of just how deep a gold mine Africa is, West Africa is, the continent is. And this is why you have other nations coming in to fill that void. Are they really filling the void, or are they really benefiting, their own interests? Right. So rather than depend on them, we really need to be filling that void and capitalizing on the opportunities to really pull ourselves out of the funk that we're in currently.
Great point, my brother. And great contribution from my guest. Big up from Mr. Ghana, Mr. Candy Ghana. He says, thank you so much. Scott, great question. Thanks for calling in. Scott is asking a question. I think it's a comment. He says, yes, we can't be solely reliant on just social events to bring us together. Many of our people have real needs that social gatherings alone won't draw attention to solve. Thank you so much. And this is where of course, this is a platform where we engage the community in dialogues with regards to issues that are pertinent to us. And this is where we come up with ideas in growing our community. And so thank you all for bringing your ideas and contributing one way or the other. But a very important contribution that I would ask you to help us with is your donation to the Progressive Mind Show. We need it urgently. And so please go to our website, the Progressive Mind Show, and help us with your finances so we can improve on our equipment and get the help that we need to do the work that we have set ourselves to do and more. So thank you so much for helping with that. And as you're watching on the platforms, be it Facebook or YouTube, please keep sharing the feed, and so that we can keep these discussions, going. It's not our voices, but collectively, not just our voices on this platform, but our entire community voices is what we need to help get the support that we need, so that when issues of like NSARS come, we already have a community that we can run to get the support that we need, and also help others, as much as we can. Because if we are not united and if we are not strong, we can help ourselves, let alone help others. Very, very important. So please, let's keep these discussions going. Dr. Portia Claudine Mascakio says, I have been asking for an African village for years. I would love to visit, tour, go shopping, and have classes in an African village. How awesome and beautiful would that be? Now, the question is, where would that African village be? Now, we are, it's the United States is big. Is it going to be in Chicago? I'll call for Chicago.
Actually, you know what? I have there is an Igbo village in Virginia.
Okay.
Right? EMEKA, do you know of that?
I've heard of it. I personally have never been.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, and it's wonderful. Actually, yeah, I don't know where in Virginia though.
Well, to this point, I think this really brings up something interesting, right? So in most major cities, you have like a little Italy, a little China, certain parts of DC, Chinatown. Yeah, you can go and you can have East African food, like Ethiopian food, and stuff like that. So there is value. There is value in the culture of Africa in general, whether it's our food, our fashion, our music, which is a huge export these days. And so I think there's value in beginning to think of the economic impact that we can have both on the continent of Africa and in diaspora. It's there, but it has to be harnessed, it has to be channeled. There's this issue of trust, by the way, that travels with us when we get on those planes and ships and we end up here. The distrust that we have for each other comes with us.
Yeah.
We don't like doing business with ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, very deep seated issue we could address.
Exactly. And that is why to the point you just made, distrust. And where does the distrust come from? Again, apart from the external factors that causes us to distract each other, we mentioned earlier before the start of the show, tribalism, right? You speak a different dialect, I speak a different one. you have a name tag, which is Togo, Nigeria, Cameroon, and I have Ghana. And so automatically I see you differently. And so when we are able to, as Scott said, and as you guys have alluded to, engage ourselves in a way to kind of break ourselves from this mental barriers, from this, tribe, you are that and you are that. We are Africans, we're Black people, we're from the continent, and we should start creating that awareness so we can start seeing ourselves as one people. And that is when we can, accept to work with each other, because that distrust, again, if you take away the external factors, we have internal issues that makes us dislike, not even distrust sometimes, but dislike. Sometimes we just hate ourselves to the core for no apparent reason, just because you speak French and I speak English, or you speak Swahili and I speak, some other African dialect. As soon as I hear that, it's like a put off.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And you mentioned Chinatown. If you go to Chinatown, there are Vietnamese there. There are Koreans, and there are, of course, the Chinese, the Koreans, and all of that. But guess what? They act indifferently. They're not forced to. If you go to the Indian community, there are Pakistanis, Indians, Bangladesh, Sri Lankans.
Yes.
But look at how they work at the corporate in the corporate world. Look at how they connect.
Right. I hate for us to label the distrust as the reason why this has not been established. I feel like we just have not put our minds to it as a community, as a society, in all honesty. I believe that we have a lot of open faith in Africans as a unit. And it's a matter of information and just getting that sort of Pan-Africanism. I believe that we can get this accomplished.
Oh, we can.
Trust me.
Oh, we can. No, definitely we can, because we're Black. So in our genes, everything is possible. So we can. We just have to put our mind to it. We just have to keep talking about it and keep creating that awareness. Dr. EMEKA, as we try to wrap up, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I certainly agree with Sheriff that, we can't blame it on distrust alone. It can be done. There is a saying that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. And if you want to go far, you go together. There's another one that says, a rising tide lifts all vessels, right? And so the opportunity is there. But I do want to take us back to one key thing, which is SARS.
Quickly.
Yeah. SARS is a symptom. SARS is a symptom. It's a Band-Aid on a very cavernous wound. To cure the issue, to solve the issue of SARS, you have to address that wound. And that wound is corruption. That wound is corruption. At every level of society, it is corruption. So I'll end on that.
Okay, that will be your last words. Thank you so much. My brother, John, and then from John, we'll go to Sherrif, and then Dr. Barth will close us.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that, we've come a long way. We share the same aspiration. We want to see Africa better than it is. We want to see our respective countries better than they are. We must not stop pushing on these things. We must get united more than we've ever been. I just shared my number. I hope to get your contacts. Let us keep in touch. What affects Cameroon affects Nigeria. What affects Nigeria affects Ghana. What affects Ghana affects Cote d'Ivoire, and all of those, until we, this generation, connect from the north to the south, the east, and all of those. When we connect and start speaking with the same voice, we are able to form a coalition that we can go from one government to the other and put them down and put in something in Africa. I also wanted to check Dr. Arikana. Is one of is a medical doctor, but one of the advocates of Pan-Africanism. Yes, please check. I think she has a how do they call it? I think the right. Just give me 1 second.
Website?
Yes, she has a website that I
ADDI or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I have that. Go ahead. And
yes. That is trying to bring the Africans. Well, there is actually an institute for Africans, and those are platforms that we all need to belong and meet more people who share the same values and aspiration as us, and then bring more people in. I believe that this generation, we can do more.
All right. He believes that this generation can do more than we have already done. It's in us, within us. Sherrif, please, your last words.
For me, it's to everybody that's African to understand that in as much as we do know that Africa is a vast land and our civilizations arose from micro organizations and micro societies, communities, times have changed and we cannot let those barriers, language, geographic location, politics, governance be a factor that undermine our greatness. We have to see over that and overcome that. The world has changed and we have to change along with that to put Africa at the forefront where it needs to be.
Where it needs to be. Brilliant. By the way, the name of that institution that you were talking about by Dr. Arikana is the African Diaspora Development Institute.
Yeah. Just typing it.
Oh, yes, we're there. Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Bath, your last words, please.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say a big thank you for having me once again, and to all those listening or watching. Yeah, we're talking about supporting each other. Please, you can support this show. I mean, you can see the great job that Sena has been doing, especially when it comes to the progressive mind. So, you know, please support him in whatever capacity.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Africa and unity. So Malcolm X once said, we cannot think of uniting with others until after we have first united amongst ourselves. We cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have first proven acceptable to ourselves. So, you know, charity begins at home. You know, that's the last word I will leave us with. You know, as Africans, let us form this common bond, try to come together, because we have this massive diversity of ideas that can help not just the Africans in the diaspora, but also Africans back home. So once again, thank you for having me.
My pleasure to engage brilliant folks that are passionate and are dedicated to the human cause, specifically that of Africans on the continent and in the diaspora. See, it's beautiful when you see people who are very selfless after gaining all the knowledge and acquiring everything for themselves. They want to give back. You know, these guys are all busy people from different organizations. Dr. EMEKA works for the FDA, and the SHERRIF, John. I mean, everybody that comes here, you know, have their personal lives and busy schedules, but they make time to come and share ideas, not because they just want to say a thing or two, but it's just the deep love they have for humanity and our society and our community. The love to make our community better, the love to make the society that they found a better place by airing their views and sharing their ideas. And this is how we grow our world. This is how we make our society a better place. I have been privileged to have you guys. I'm very, very excited. I've been informed a lot this evening, and I know that there's the beginning of us doing great things together. And I really, really appreciate it. To our audience, thank you so much for your contribution. I think Scott sent his, maybe, I'm sure his last comment probably. He says, we also need to look into recognizing the geographic borders of our so-called countries, which were divided in a way that has two groups who share the same ethnic culture living in separate countries. My brother, you are on point. You are so much on point. So much on point. And on that note, and I think the best closing statement for this evening was the one Dr. Bath gave, in that he wants you to support my show. All right. That was on the light side, but yes, we all know that this has been a great engagement, just like the others, and we are hoping to keep it going. All right. Keep tuning into the Progressive Mind Show every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. We are here on Facebook and on YouTube. Very soon we shall be digital. We shall be on a radio platform, which is 105 Exchange Radio, which is coming very soon. You will be hearing of us. In the meantime, you also heard us on My Star radio station. My Star is an online radio station based in Washington, D.C. It's a Pan-African radio station for the discerning listener. Do not fret. The elections will come and go. All right. So whatever happens, we shall be fine. Well, it's not going to turn upside down. We are going to be fine. So take a chill pill, eat some food, eat your banku, eat your fufu, eat your amala, eat your goosey soup, all of that, and drink some cool ice water. Take some wine if you have it. Relax and be happy. All right. Reginald Roland says, thanks for the great intellectual discussion. Thank you for a great intellectual contribution, Reginald. We hope that next week you shall be with us. Now, what I want you to do, our listeners, is that turn on the notification for both Facebook and YouTube. If you go on there, subscribe and turn on the notification so that every Wednesday when we come your way, you shall get a notification and be on. And whilst you are at it, keep sharing the feed. My brothers, Dr. Bath, Dr. EMEKA, John, and Sheriff, I really do not want us to leave, but we have to go. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for your time and your great contribution this evening. We shall keep it going. All right. Thank you so much. God bless you. Oh,
thank you.
And Lara just joined. And Lara says, hey, John. And Lara, you have an admirer. She says, hey, John. So I just wanted to let you know that you have a beautiful lady who's admiring you. And so, yeah, you missed it. And Lara, you missed tonight's session, but you can always go back and watch it, okay? Next week, we hope that you shall be with us. It's been great coming your way, my guys, my people. This is how we build our community, literally, all right? Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. This has been your favorite host, Sena, a.k.a. Alinko. To whom much is given, much is required. We shall be back next week for another very intellectual conversation. See you, brothers. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Right.
Peace.